Hello guys, today is 10th January 2017 and we are going to discuss the articles of The Hindu. So before discussion, first let's have a look which articles which we are going to discuss. Here is small article related to the merchant discount rate, very important article, and why the petroleum dealers threatened to accept the debit cards and credit cards. We would all discuss that. Here is small article related to Iran. We would get little context who are the reformists and who are the conservatives in Iran. The main article is regarding the prospects which are going to emerge in the 2017, how the instability is emerging in the world. So very important article has been written by the K.R. Narayanan. Syria issue has been discussed by us many times. So if time permits, again we would discuss some. We would try to extract some important points from this article. This article is very important regarding the transgender bill. We would discuss this article. This article is not important, related to politics only. You know, you might have seen this. This is the POS, point of sale machine, and the merchants accept debit cards and credit cards using this. And if customers, if we want to do the digital transactions, we can use our debit card or credit card and we can pay the merchants using this machine. So now petroleum dealers, first let's see what is the utility of this article. In the context of threat by the petroleum dealers to stop the accepting the debit card and credit card, what are the issues involved in the digital transactions? So you have to address the demand of the question holistically. Don't just focus on this. I mean to say that don't just stick to this article only. Try to add the other dimensions also. So here is the article. Context is petrol pump dealers. They threatened that they would not accept the debit cards and credit cards. Why they said this? Because they said that banks now have started the charging the merchant discount rate of 1%. So what is the merchant discount rate? Merchant discount rate is that rate which the banks charges on the merchants. Here in this case, the petroleum dealers they are the merchants. Bank charges this amount because they provide the POS machines, the machine which we saw earlier, and banks say that we are providing you the machines and we are facilitating the transactions, so you must give the 1% charge. And petroleum dealers, you know what they say? They say that we get only the 2% commission. So what we would gain if we are giving out of 2%, if we are giving 1% to you, then our benefit or our gain that would reduce drastically. So so what the bank says, after that bank says that according to the RBI notification, we are allowed to get the 0.25% to 1% charges on the debit cards and 1% on the credit cards. So we are not wrong. So at the present time, you know, Union Minister intervened and now the matter has been delayed till the 13th of January. After that, the Petroleum Minister said that neither banks nor petroleum dealers would actually bear the charges. So who would bear the charges? Petroleum Minister said that stakeholders will bear the charges. So now the question arises, who is the stakeholder here? They are saying, Petroleum Ministry is saying neither banks nor petroleum dealers, even customers would not bear. Then who would bear the charges? So let's have another analysis of this article. After demonetization, you know, after demonetization, the government took a lot of steps. They waived off the charges. Here in this case, the government waived off the service tax on the MDR surcharge from 8 December. When we do the card-based transactions up to 2000. And after that, the government also asked the banks to waive off the MDR charges on the debit cards till 31st of December. Now, today is 10th January, so 31 December has already passed. So now banks, after the limit bank now has started again the MDR charges. That's why this whole turmoil has emerged. So now what has happened? What has happened? We have discussed this. Let's move to next slide. So now, you know, after demonetization, government also took a number of steps. Government asked the banks that don't charge more than 100 rupee per month for the machines, POS machines, which we earlier saw in the slides, if you are providing to the merchants. And using this service, out of 15 lakhs POS devices, 6.5 lakhs, they are giving only 100 rupee per month to the banks for that. And banks, the government also asked the PSU oil companies to offer 0.75% discount to the customers. If you are purchasing the oil from and doing the digital transactions, then the oil companies would offer you 0.75%. This thing was asked by the central government to the oil companies. And government also asked the railways, for example, IRCTC, You might have done the online transactions and you might have booked the ticket on IRCTC. IRCTC website was showing that we would give you some kind of discount if you are doing the transactions online. So this kind of things were asked by the government to the IRCTC and the other PSUs and the other organizations also. So now the thing is, after demonetization, government asked a lot of things to a lot of organizations, but now the issues have started to emerge. What kind of issues? Issues about the cost. Like in this case, like banks are saying that we would not bear the cost of transactions. Oil companies and petrol pump dealers are saying that we would not bear the cost. Then actually the government has said we would bear the cost, but it is the timing when they would bear. So this kind of issues after demonetization are emerging if we consider the digital transactions. So what are the other issues? If we have to move towards the cashless economy, then petroleum dealers must accept the debit cards and the credit cards. And also this kind of uncertainty, like whether the petroleum dealers would accept or not, this kind of things create the crisis of confidence. And there is a confidence crisis. The people think like that if this kind of things keep happening, then what is the use of digital transactions? Last Feb, government has cleared this thing, and they said that last year they would rationalize the MDR, means merchant discount rate. A expert panel was also constituted, and an expert panel said a lot of things. First thing they said is need to install the greater transparency in the digital transactions or digital payments. And also the panel said that we need to protect the data of private data of the customers. Like we are doing the digital transactions, so we are in the indirect way providing data to the banks and the third parties who are ensuring our digital transactions. So they need to protect our data. Third point is customer also need not to be liable. If there is some kind of failure in the doing the transaction, then banks, or you can say that reliable or suitable stakeholders, they must bear the cost. It is not the customers. If there is a failure in the transactions or system error, customer must not pay the charge for that. Fourth is new payment regulator. We also read that in the news discussion. What is the now these days after demonetization, digital transactions are they are accelerating at very fast rate. So there is a need of new payment regulator which will ensure or which will facilitate all these kind of retail transactions. Retail transactions means you are going to the grocery store and you are paying something. These kind of transactions are called retail transactions. So there is a need of new payment regulator for that. Next is conclusion like that. Government has started a policy like that. If you are doing the digital transactions, then you can win the prize. This kind of things are not sufficient. Actually, there is a need of clarity and consistency in the policies. Otherwise, as we earlier said, there may be the crisis of the confidence. So we need a visible roadmap. So this was important article, and here is the solution of Economics Times also. So how we can get out of this situation? Economics Times says that the MDR charges must be 0.1%. Banks, they were saying we must get the 1%, but Economics Times say that they should get the 0.1%. And after that, the Economics Times says there are the three parties when the digital transaction is done. Who are the three parties? One party is like that banks who is providing the POS machines. Here we can understand this thing by using an example. Very simple example. Here, assume that this is the POS device, and petrol pump dealers are using this POS device. And someone, you can take any case, you can take the case of Murnal. Like Murnal is going to the petrol pump and Murnal is carrying the card. This is the card ICICI Bank. And here is the card of HDFC, POS machine of HDFC Bank. So HDFC Bank will ask the petrol pump dealers, like, we have provided you the POS devices, so you should give some kind of money to us. One party. Second party is ICICI Bank. ICICI Bank will say to Murnal that we are providing you the card and you are like doing the transaction using our card, so you should pay some money to us. And third party is like Visa card and MasterCard. These are the third party. They are ensuring that whole transaction takes place in a very secure way. So they also get some kind of money. So three parties get the money in one transaction. So Economics Times says that now a new, you can see that actors are emerging in this National Payment Corporation of India. So in the upcoming days, there may be a lot of competition, and due to the competitive policies, transactions may be very cheap. So here article is Iran's article. So what is there in the Iran's article? Former president of Iran who was reformist. The death of this article led to this article. The death of the former president of Iran led to this article in the Hindu. And the article says that he was a reformist, and actually there may be the impediment now in the reforms because of the death of the former president. So first, let's discuss little bit who are the reformists and who are the conservatives in the Iran. Once again. Before this, like, let's see what is the history of Iran. You know, before 1935, Iran was called as Persia, and after that, after 1935 to 1979, there was a rule of dynasty which was called Shah dynasty. 1935 to 1979, Shah dynasty was there. And in 1979, between this period 1935 to 1979, there was a lot of resentment against the government because the government was called to be close to the US government. And you all know that the Iran is a Muslim country, and there is a lot of resentment against the US. They call US as a greater Satan, something like that. And so that in 1979, a Islamic revolution took place. Islamic revolution. So a rule of theocracy. You know what is theocracy? When religious leader rules the country, then it is called theocracy. You might have heard the other terms like autocracy and theocracy, democracy. When there is a rule by the people, for the people, by the people, it is called democracy. When rule by the religious leader, it is called theocracy. Autocracy, one man rule, autocracy. So you must know all these kind of terms. So in 1979, the rule of theocracy came. Khomeini, who was the supreme leader in the Iran. So now, you know, the Iran is divided into the two groups. One group is conservatives. Conservatives say that theocracy must continue. This is the good thing, and we should not build our relationship. We should not cement our ties with the US and other Western countries. The other group is reformist. Reformists say that now the democracy must come and we should cement our ties with the Western countries because it is the time we must have the good relations with the Western countries are also, and this kind of things. So now the reformist former president has died, and you know that the nuclear deal which was signed between the US and the Iran, that deal was signed due to the efforts made by the reformist. Just you need to know a little bit context, otherwise this is not much important. So let's discuss the next article. This is regarding the prospects and how the world is going to be the more unstable in the upcoming time. What is the utility? Here is the utility. World today seems more disoriented and more unstable, and there is no end to chaos in the near future. Discuss this also from the India's perspective. So next, the article which we are going to discuss will cater to the demand of this question. Let's see how. You know, the policy outlook for the 2017 is not too promising. Why? Because the geopolitical risks are very high. Geopolitical risks in the various dimensions, like new terrorist organizations are emerging, and the old terrorist organizations, they are also striking a lot of terror strikes. You can take the case of Berlin terror attack, Nice terror attack in the Turkey, terror attack in the France, digital disruptions also, cyber threats. You also know that how there were charges against the Russian hackers that they interfered in the US elections. Economic outlook is also not so good. Inequalities are continuously, consistently increasing, and unemployment prospects are also not so good. So in crux is that there is a lot of uncertainty in the world. Those who are status quoist and they say that the world must go on like that only, this 21st century is going to be the disaster for them, because a lot of things are going to be changed in the 21st century. The article says Xi Jinping, the president of China, he was one person, like he recognized what kind of changes may come in the upcoming future, and that's why he started the project One Road, One Belt. And this project has given a lot of leverage to the China, because many countries now are coming to the China and they are saying we also want to participate in the One Road, One Belt. So it was a good thing from the China's perspective. What kind of evils or what kind of factors may dominate in the 2017? First thing is history and nationalism. History, you all know that how, like, take the case of India and Pakistan, how history is not allowing us to establish the good ties. Nationalism, you all know that how the Trump gave the issue of America's first. So nationalism is also dominant in the many countries. Populism, when the government caters to the demand of the ordinary people, then it is called the populism. For example, take the case of Tamil Nadu, where the government delivers the free grinder mixers and the free saris. Third point is mistrust between the institutions and the institutional power. Personal charisma. Personal charisma means, like, take the case of Modi, take the case of Trump, how the popularity of personal, yani the popularity of persons are more than the party. Fourth is military superiority, like who is having the more military power, then he has more say in the global matters. Example of this, US President Trump is saying that America's first and US must increase the nuclear arsenal, which is not a good sign. Even Putin is also saying that we should build our nuclear military potential. And China, you all know that China is strengthening its military and contributing more funds towards modernization of military. Trump efforts. Trump during the campaign said a lot of things. He said that he will build a wall when he's after getting elected. Now he would join the office on 20th of January. So let's see how he would react. But he also said a lot of other things about the trade. He's against the free trade, and he's against the climate change agreement which was happened in the Paris. And also his policies will be more explicit when we see, like, how he react against the Russia and China, because the relation between the Russia and the China are more strengthening these days. US and Russia relations. How the US and Russia relations may emerge. The article says that the ties may be, like, improved, because now the ties are at nadir because of the policies adopted by the Obama. Article says that Trump may, like, abandon the NATO or may take the stand which is against the NATO, and Russia also wants this. Also, the article says that Trump may take the stand which is not against the Assad, that was the bone of contention, and Trump also take the stand, like Obama, implemented or inflicted a lot of sanctions against the Russia related to the Ukraine and the Crimea issue, and now Trump may lift those sanctions. So this kind of some things, how the relations between the USA and Russia may improve in the upcoming time. How can be the situation in the Asia and the Europe? There is a trade war which may happen between the USA and China, and Trump has given enough indications of that. How? Because Trump has appointed two persons who have the ideology against the China, and China, in the first step taken by the Trump, China is patient, but how much patient they would remain, we have to see this. And also in the South China Sea, we may see a lot of fire in the South China Sea, but article also says that they may find the common ground. Common ground means, like, but if they find the common ground, then the other countries like the Vietnam, then this may be a troublesome situation for them. And also the other thing is how the Trump is going to react against this alliance which is emerging between the China and Russia. Here, it's a very important thing. May this happen that Russia acknowledge the China's superiority in the South China Sea, and in return of this, China also accept the superiority of Russia in the Eurasia region. Is this possible? The article asks this question. So we can use this point in our answers. Situation in Europe is also going to be very, polarized. Migrant crisis. You have seen how the migrant crisis happened there. Britain has existed from the European Union, and land order capacity. Lot of attacks are happening there. So question now has arisen that whether the now European government has the capacity to have the proper land order in their cities. Terror threat. It is also going to be the big issue, because there have been a lot of attacks in the European society and the other countries like Turkey. And the bigger issue is the type of, like, how they are doing the terror attacks. Lone wolf attacks. A single person does the terror attack, and he's just encouraged by the ideology of the terror organizations like ISIS. They do not get any kind of support from the parent organization. They just get encouraged by the parent organization, and they just hire the truck and take that truck into the crowd, and how the people are killed, we have seen that. Russia, the article says now there have not been any kind of attack in the Russia, but in the upcoming time, Chechnya, radical Islam is also there, and they may retaliate. Rohingya, there have been the charges of human violations against the Rohingyas in the Myanmar, and some terror organization, they have also threatened that they would retaliate against the human rights violations done against the Rohingyas Muslims. In Africa, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, they are also there. So what kind of situation may emerge in the India's neighborhood and the other Asia countries? There may be the heightened tensions between the China and India, China and Japan, and India and Pakistan. Overall, military balance is not going to be the shift. Is not going to be the shifted, but the tensions they create, they create the instability. China's military, you have seen the China's rise is not peaceful, and it creates the threat towards the other countries like the East, Southeast Asia, and the South Asia, even against the India. China-Pak-Russia alliance, it's a kind of danger for India. How the China, Pakistan, and Russia, they are dealing with the Taliban, because we can't afford this thing like that. Taliban comes in there in the Afghanistan. Then our options are also limited in the Afghanistan, because the US, China, Russia, they have also legitimized the Taliban. They are talking with the Taliban to establish the peace in the Afghanistan. Meanwhile, the situation in the Nepal and Sri Lanka is also not good, and 2017 is going to be turbulent in the Nepal and Sri Lanka also. The crux is that the world and India both are at crossroads. The situation may not be so much good for the India in 2017. Next article is about the transgender bill. What is the utility of this article? 2016 transgender bill is the product of an uninterested and insincere attempts at law-making comment. You have to comment on this thing. Mainly, the criticism of transgender bill 2016 has been done in this article. Before this, let's understand what is the context of this article. There is a very important judgment named as Nalsa versus Union of India. Very important judgment. Whenever the question on the transgender comes, you have to write this judgment. So what actually happened is judgment. Supreme Court ordered or gave some directives to the government. What kind of directives Supreme Court gave? Supreme Court said that you have to take some welfare measures or affirmative actions towards the transgenders. Second is expert committee report which was prepared by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Supreme Court said that you must implement this report. After that, after the Nalsa judgment in 2014, a private MP presented a private member bill in the parliament, in the Rajya Sabha, and it was adopted by the all in the Rajya Sabha. It was the unprecedented that a private member bill is passed into the Rajya Sabha, but it didn't went into the Lok Sabha. After that, the government said that we understand the sentiments of the House and we would present our own transgender person bill 2015. So they presented. So again, relook this. First 2014 Nalsa judgment, 2014 again private member bill. Then 15 government said that we would bring our own bill. So government brought the bill. But actually what happened, this bill was was based on the bill which was presented by the MP. But one difference which was there was no provision of national and state commission. Okay, it was okay. Now the criticism starts now. Government again presented a bill which was transgender bill in 2016, which was completely different. Government completely disregarded the Nalsa judgment, completely disregarded the bill of MP and private member bill, and completely disregarded its own bill of 2015. So now the lot of criticism, mainly five criticism against this transgender bill 2016. So what are those criticism? Let's discuss those. Again, a few points like why the radical changes and previous research, all these kind of things have been wasted, and now the public discourse is in the favor of welfare of transgenders. So why the government is not willing to provide facilities to them? So now the criticism starts. First issue is on the definition of transgender itself. The article is saying that they have copied the definition from the Australian Sex Discrimination Amendment, and the definition which was there in 2015 bill, which was also presented by this current government, was good. And in 2015 bill, actually there was a right which was presented to the transgender that they can identify themselves with a male or woman, male or female, or man or woman. It was a choice given to them, but now this facility is not given to them. So this is the first criticism. Second criticism is the absence of reservation. Reservation is not given to the transgenders in the new bill 2016. Third point is the right-based approach is not adopted in the transgender bill. What is right-based approach? You might have read this mental health care bill and the Persons with a Disability Act 2016. Actually, there is a provision of right which has been mentioned in these bills, the mental healthcare bill, and but this kind of facility like right-based approach is not given to the transgenders. So now they are dependent, they will have to rely on the mercy of the state. So this is the thing they want to convey in this third point. Fourth point is also there is no mentioning of this thing like that, how the previous laws like the marriage laws, adoption laws and succession laws, how what would be the impact of the, if new bill is passed, then what would be the impact on these laws which are already there, like marriage law, adoption law, because these laws recognize only two sexes, either male or female. And now if government is passing the bill, this means that they are recognizing the third sex also. So what would be the impact of passing of this transgender bill on the previous laws? These laws accept or recognize only two sexes, male or female. So what is the fifth point? Fifth point is very important point. Article 377, IPC Article 377 says that there are only two sexes, either male or female. So if there is a third sex, then there is a provision of punishment in the IPC 377. So, try to understand the situation. On the one hand, government is not only recognizing the transgenders, but also bringing a bill in the parliament to provide the facilities to the transgenders. On the other hand, there is a law that IPC 377, which even prohibits to recognize, even not anyone can say that I am transgender in our country. If someone says that I am transgender, then there is a provision of punishment in our law. So this is very absurd. On the one hand, government is going to provide the facilities to the transgenders, and on the other hand, there is a provision in the law that if transgenders must be the punishment. If some transgenders are there in the society, they must be punished. So this is very absurd. What is way forward? Way forward is that now we have a very good opportunity to provide the facilities or to provide the welfare to the Hithartho marginalized community. So we must use this. We must use this facility or opportunity, and we should not waste this opportunity. So this is a very good article which we can use, and direct question may also come on the transgenders. Next, we are going to discuss an article on the Syria issue. Syria issue. Here we can discuss. Syria, that the civil war started in the Syria in 2012. So mainly two sections are there, two groups are there who are fighting. On the one side, Russia, Iran, and government, Assad government. On the other side is US, Saudi Arabia, and the other allies of the Saudi Arabia like Jordan. They have fought a long war. Syria lost a lot of territory to the rebels to whom the US was providing the supports. US was imparting the arms, imparting the money, and mainly Russia and the US, these two groups were fighting the indirect war or proxy war there in the Syria. Now what has happened, after making so many efforts and after getting the support of Russia, now the Syria has got the Aleppo back. Aleppo was the important city, and the rebels captured the Aleppo in 2012. Now Syria has captured again the Aleppo. So it is a big win for the Assad government. So next, on the 23rd of January, there is a summit in the Astana in the Kazakhstan which is going to happen, and US would not be present there because this summit would be based on the agreement which was signed some 10-15 days ago between the Russia and the Turkey. Why between the Russia and the Turkey? Because Russia has the influence over the Assad government and Turkey has influence over the militants there. There was a you can say that according to the WikiLeaks, US was slow in recognizing the ISIS because first they thought that before this they thought that they can use the ISIS against the Assad government. So that's why the ISIS now has emerged the bigger threat. Even Turkey wanted to use the ISIS against the Assad government, but after the ISIS also started to strike the terror attacks in the Turkey, they realized this thing. And even now the Syria has got the Aleppo. It is said that Turkey cut the routes according to which the militants used to go from the Turkey, and they used to reinforce the ISIS forces. So that's how the Turkey has helped the Syria to capture the Aleppo back. Other factors are also like Iraq. Now Iraq and Assad, they are also befriending and coming together to fight the ISIS. They are saying that they have the common enemy in the form of ISIS, and how the Egypt is also ready to send its forces to enforce the ceasefire there in the Syria. Means like the crux of the article says that now there is a legitimacy. Now before this, everyone was saying that Assad has to go, who is currently ruling the Syria, but now the situation has emerged that everyone is saying that Assad must present there. So this was the article, and we have also discussed a lot of issues about the Syria. So that's enough, and we would again discuss tomorrow. Thank you very much for discussion.